Hello, Confirmation families. I'm Pastor Eric Kennall. What a wonderful opportunity that we have to get together in some fashion to continue the growth of our students. This orientation video hopefully will answer some of your questions and prepare you for the confirmation season to come. With COVID, of course, everything is different. So we're going to be taking a different tact this year, at least through the fall session. So that we can accommodate our students, that they can continue to grow and learn. Confirmation is important in our students' lives because we know that they're growing exponentially in their bodies and minds. Their hormones are exploding and they're developing rapidly in the way that they think, in their perception of the world around them as it expands rapidly as their bodies begin to develop. And it's easy in the midst of all of that other growth to allow their spiritual growth to lag behind. But as they're developing a new worldview, as their horizons are expanding, as they're starting to see the world in new and unique ways, it's important that they have that theological framework with which to see the world, that they understand God and His great love for them as they go forth and begin to explore their world. We don't want their spirit to lag behind the development of the rest of their person. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are an important time for them in their spiritual growth, answering questions and helping them have that proper framework for understanding the world around them and what's actually happening as God rules on His throne and pours out His love on His people. So as we said, it's going to work a little bit differently this year. We're going to begin on September 9th, or the week of September 9th, with online lessons. So all of our lessons are going to be taught by our faculty here at Emmanuel. You should have received in your email already a list of what the topics are as we go through the 10 Commandments this fall, and who's going to be leading each session. Each of those are going to be presented in a Google Classroom for your student, and there'll be some kind of a quiz or something to fill out afterwards to help them think through what they learned, and so that we can account for their learning and know that they watched the lesson for that week. So all of the learnings will be online, and your student will receive a unique email address to be able to link into our Google Classroom. So if you're in the different school system, if you're not at Emmanuel Lutheran School, you'll need a distinct user ID in order to get into our system. It's one of the safeguards that Google put in place to keep things safe. So their Batavia Public School address or wherever they go to school won't work with our system. So be on the lookout, and we'll have a mechanism for you to register those if you don't have one, or to send one to you. Starting the week of September 16th, we'll be inviting each class, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, to come once every 3 weeks to expand their learning. We believe, and from our own personal experience, we know that every student doesn't learn particularly well in the lecture format in the classroom setting. There are tactile learners who need to touch things. There are physical learners who need to get out and do things and be active in order for their brain to properly process and connect the pieces that they're learning. Kinesthetic learners. So we are going to present some of the information. We've broken it up into thirds, so each student will get that the other learning styles that we're going to present. They're going to meet in our gymnasium. There's about 15, 16 students per class, so it's pretty easy to maintain the COVID protocols with that number of students. So 6th graders will only meet with 6th graders this fall, 7th graders with 7th graders, and so on. We will be taking protocols seriously, so there will be a website, or it's actually an app that you can get where you can answer the questions that you've probably had to answer 1,000 times. Have you been around anyone who's tested positive for COVID? Have you left the country in the last 14 days? Have you tested positive? Those standard safety questions that you're asked pretty much everywhere. We have an app where you can do that before you come. It logs you in as having registered your negative answers to those questions. Um, on the way into the building, students will have their temperatures taken to make sure that everyone's within a safe range. And there's nothing going on with all of that. Inside the building, we will be practicing social distancing, so they'll be in the gym mostly, but sometimes maybe in the sanctuary or the fellowship hall. We've reserved all the large spaces in our facility, and they will spread out and keep that social distance in those spaces. The activities and games that they play will all be games where there's no physical contact with other students and they can maintain that safe distance. They'll also be required to wear masks in the building at all times. They'll have to keep them on throughout the experience as it goes on. Unless your child has a medical reason why they can't wear a mask, and for that we would require a doctor's note. So please let us know, and we can make accommodations for that and figure that out if that's something that your child needs, but it does require a physician's certification for that. Also note on the days when you come to class and you go into the gym, that's just going to be an hour session. So we'll meet in there from 6:30 to 7:30 on those Wednesday nights. And your student will meet 3 times in the fall. If you're not comfortable with that, if you're someone who really wants to be extra cautious with this, just let us know. Send Carrie an email and we can talk it through and figure that out. We're not demanding that everyone come or you fail confirmation, but we do want to give kids every opportunity to learn and to socialize together. So 6:30 to 7:30 on the weeks when your class comes, and that schedule again will be published via email. We don't need parent volunteers this fall. So thank you to all the parents who regularly jump in with that, but we're able with just one class and one room to staff that. We may be looking for volunteers should things open up in the new year and our realities begin to change back to what we remember as normal. But we'll let you know and have a sign up for that if that happens. Also, we're not going to worry about worship notes in this season where some things are online and some things are in person or outdoors. It gets really complicated. We understand that. So worship notes are all going to take place in the winter when we better understand what our worship reality is and can create a resource for the kids to help them really understand worship and how to engage in it in that particular set of circumstances. So you won't have to worry about worship notes in this fall session. That will be in the spring. Those are the primary things that I have to share with you. I'm sure there's lots of other questions. If you do have questions, there's 2 opportunities or 2 vehicles through which you can get those questions answered. The first is that we are going to have Zoom office hours, so you should, in conjunction with this video or shortly after, receive a link to a Zoom session on Sunday, September 6th, starting at 6:30 p.m. Sunday, September 6th at 6:30, and some of our staff members will be there to answer any other questions that you have if you want to have a conversation. Sometimes these things are easier to talk through than to try and email back and forth a dozen times. If you have a simple, straightforward question, you can also email Carrie Larson at klarson@emmanuelbatavia.org, and we will endeavor to answer those questions as well. So we look forward to seeing your student. We pray that you have a safe, blessed beginning of your school year, and as we engage in confirmation, that this vehicle and these accommodations work well for your student. We'll be praying for them. So God's richest blessings on your confirmation experience.